When people talk about overnight success, they rarely understand the years of silent preparation that happen before the spotlight ever shines. And the journey of Storm Reid is living proof that greatness is never accidental but built through courage, discipline, and an unshakable belief in yourself even when the world hasn't fully seen you yet. Because long before she became recognizable on red carpets and television screens across the globe, she was just a young girl with a dream bigger than her surroundings, a dream that demanded risk, sacrifice, and relentless faith, and instead of waiting for permission to chase it, she and her family made the bold decision to move to Los Angeles so she could pursue acting seriously, understanding that success would not come easily, but believing that purpose is stronger than fear, and that mindset alone separated her from thousands of others who wished but never acted. From a young age, Storm carried a maturity that went beyond scripted lines. She carried intention, and that intention became visible to the world when she stepped into the role of Meg Marie in A Wrinkle in Time, a film directed by Ava DuVernay, where she didn't just act but represented something bigger, becoming one of the few young black actresses to lead a major Disney fantasy film. And while critics debated the movie, audiences could not ignore the emotional depth she brought to a character navigating insecurity, intelligence, and courage. And in many ways, that role mirrored her own path because stepping into a big-budget production at such a young age required resilience against public scrutiny, pressure, and expectation, yet she handled interviews, press tours, and global attention with a calm confidence that made it clear she was not overwhelmed by the moment but prepared for it. What makes Storm's story powerful is not just the roles she has played, but the composure she maintains while playing them. Because Hollywood is an industry that can amplify doubt as quickly as it amplifies fame, especially for young actors of color who are often underestimated or boxed into narrow categories. Yet she refused to shrink herself to fit any mold, instead choosing roles that stretch her emotionally and intellectually, and that bravery became even more visible when she joined the cultural phenomenon of Euphoria, portraying Gia Bennett, the younger sister of Rue, played by Zendaya. And though her role was not always center stage, her presence carried weight, showing the quiet pain of a sibling watching addiction unfold in her home, and through subtle expressions and controlled emotion she proved that you do not need the loudest storyline to deliver the strongest impact. Storm Reid's rise teaches something deeper than fame. It teaches preparation, because before the awards conversations, before the magazine covers, before the viral interviews, there were auditions that didn't go her way, long days of training, self-doubt that had to be conquered privately, and the constant reminder that talent must be sharpened daily. And instead of complaining about competition, she improved herself. Instead of blaming rejection, she learned from it. And instead of chasing popularity, she focused on craft. And that focus is why casting directors trust her with emotionally layered characters, because they see discipline behind the beauty, substance behind the spotlight, and intention behind every career decision. Another defining moment came when she starred in Missing, a thriller that relied heavily on her ability to carry tension almost entirely through screen-based storytelling, where much of the film unfolded through digital screens, video calls, and online searches, demanding that she command attention without traditional cinematic movement, and she delivered with precision, proving that she is not just a supporting actress in someone else's narrative, but fully capable of leading a modern suspense film with intelligence and emotional clarity. And that performance reinforced something important. Storm Reid is not growing into greatness, she is actively building it with each calculated step. What makes her journey inspiring is that she balances ambition with authenticity, never appearing desperate for validation but confident in her trajectory. And in interviews, she often speaks about gratitude, about her family's sacrifices, about staying grounded. And that humility strengthens her brand because audiences connect not only with talent but with character, and character cannot be faked long-term in an industry that constantly tests integrity. Beyond acting, Storm understands influence, using her platform to represent young black girls who rarely saw themselves centered in fantasy, drama, or thriller genres, and representation is not a trending topic for her but a lived responsibility. Because when a child watches someone who looks like them navigate complex emotions on screen, it silently tells them their own feelings matter. Their own stories deserve space, and Storm carries that awareness with grace, choosing projects that expand rather than limit perception. She is also academically focused, valuing education alongside entertainment, which sends a powerful message to young fans that success is multidimensional, that you can chase dreams while sharpening your mind, that glamour and growth can coexist. And in a culture obsessed with fast fame, her steady progression feels refreshing and strategic. As the years continue, what stands out most is that Storm Reid does not appear rushed, she appears intentional. Understanding that longevity in Hollywood requires reinvention, patience, and emotional intelligence, and instead of chasing every spotlight opportunity, she selects roles that align with depth, which positions her not just as a young star but as a future industry powerhouse. Because real icons are not created by one big role but by consistent excellence across time, and Storm is laying that foundation carefully, brick by brick, performance by performance, proving that fearlessness is not about being loud, but about stepping forward even when the path is uncertain, and that quiet courage is exactly what transforms potential into legacy. Success at a young age can either distort identity or strengthen it. And what makes Storm Reid remarkable is how she has used visibility as a platform for purpose rather than ego, because as opportunities expanded after A Wrinkle in Time and her emotionally grounded performance in Euphoria, she could have easily chosen the predictable path of repetitive roles and safe characters, yet she consistently leans toward projects that challenge perception, proving she understands that longevity is built on versatility, not comfort. In an era where social media magnifies every move, she maintains composure, presenting confidence without arrogance, glamour without losing relatability, and ambition without appearing disconnected from reality, and that balance is rare, especially for someone who grew up under public observation, because fame tests identity in ways most people never experience. Yet she continues to speak about gratitude, discipline, and faith as grounding forces, which suggests that her internal foundation is stronger than the external noise. When she took on darker emotional tones in projects like The Invisible Man, even in a supporting capacity, she demonstrated an ability to hold tension in minimal screen time, reinforcing that impact is not measured in minutes but in presence. And presence is something she carries naturally, whether she is leading a thriller like Missing or contributing to ensemble storytelling. And that adaptability positions her as one of the most promising talents of her generation. What truly elevates Storm Reid's journey into inspiration is the way she navigates representation responsibly, understanding that visibility for young Black women in Hollywood still carries weight, and instead of shrinking from that responsibility, she embraces it thoughtfully, using interviews and public appearances to uplift community narratives while still allowing herself to evolve personally, showing that empowerment is not about perfection but progress. There is also a subtle confidence in how she approaches fashion, branding, and public image, presenting herself with elegance that reflects maturity beyond her years, and this consistency strengthens her credibility because in an industry that often reinvents identities overnight for trend value, she appears steady and self-aware. Beyond the screen, her academic pursuits and commitment to growth send a message that success is not singular, that you can pursue creative excellence while valuing intellectual development, and that dual focus deepens her long-term positioning within entertainment as someone capable of producing, creating, and influencing at executive levels in the future. When young fans look at Storm Reid, they see more than an actress, they see possibility, because her trajectory communicates that dreams require movement, that talent requires refinement, and that setbacks are not stop signs but redirections. And this mindset is what separates temporary fame from sustainable legacy. Every red carpet appearance, every carefully chosen script, every composed interview response contributes to a narrative larger than any single role. A narrative about a young woman who stepped into Hollywood not asking for validation but prepared to earn respect, and respect is exactly what she continues to gain, gradually, authentically, and powerfully. As the industry evolves with streaming platforms, digital storytelling, and global audiences, Storm Reid stands positioned at the intersection of talent and timing, ready to transition from promising young actress to defining voice of her era, because she has already proven that she can handle pressure, represent diversity with dignity, and carry complex stories with emotional intelligence.